Lutkenhaus has got it again. And for the man who only left high school 2 weeks ago.
A 17-year-old kid who still has to ask his mom for permission to miss school just beat an Olympic champion by 1/100th of a second. He hit the line in Oslo so close to the man beside him that he dropped his head, convinced he had lost. He had not. And before that race, the man he beat said something publicly that should make every 800-meter runner in the world nervous. We will get to exactly what he said, because once you hear it, the finish becomes crazier. But first, you need to understand where Cooper Lutkenhaus came from. Because beating the reigning Olympic and world champion at 17 is only part of why this story is ridiculous. This starts outside Dallas, Texas, not some famous running factory, just neighborhoods, schools, football fields, and Friday nights. Cooper grew up in a family where almost nothing stayed casual. Two older brothers never gave him anything for free. His dad now oversees athletics for the school district. His mom is the principal of Cooper's own high school. Picture that. The kid racing Olympic champions still walks through a school run by his mother. Inside that house, everything became a contest. Cooper played 5 sports, including wrestling, and studied football for fun. His mom once put him on a church basketball team with his brother, 4 years older. Most parents would have kept him with kids his age. She did not. Cooper played up, held his own, and sometimes beat them. He was never comfortable staying where his age said he belonged. Running came almost by accident in middle school. Cooper entered races and kept winning. By 8th grade, he was running 800-meter times serious adults would be proud of, and he was doing it at 14. National junior victories followed. Then came the question, what happens when the competition stops being kids? Because being the fastest teenager in Texas means almost nothing to men racing Diamond League meets in Europe. With Olympic medals already at home, high school track and professional racing are barely the same sport. Cooper kept winning anyway. Texas state title as a freshman, another the next year. Undefeated, faster every season. Eventually, somebody had to put him beside the best in America and see if this was real. In 2025, that happened. His coach, Chris Capo, had built something into Cooper's racing that explains why so many of his biggest moments happen in the same place. With 200 meters left, Cooper has a trigger point. He has trained it since middle school until it became instinct. On August 3, 2025, at the U.S. Outdoor Championships in Eugene, that trigger changed his life. Cooper was 16, standing in an 800-meter final against Olympians and seasoned professionals. With 200 meters left, he sat 7th, buried. Then the trigger fired. One runner went behind him, then another, then another. By the finish, Cooper had gone from 7th to 2nd in 1:42.27, a world record for his age by more than a full second, beating athletes with Olympic medals and world championship experience. The stadium went off. Suddenly, nobody cared whether he was the best teenage runner in Texas. That question was finished. Now people wanted to know how far this could go. A 16-year-old used to missing class for ordinary school trips was suddenly getting ready to miss class for the World Championships in Tokyo. But Tokyo is important because it was the first time the story stopped going perfectly. Cooper arrived as the youngest American ever to qualify, homework packed in his bag. The 800 meters at that level is brutal in ways high school racing cannot teach you. The best runners know how to control space, close gaps, box in dangerous kickers, and make sure somebody like Cooper never gets the clean final 200 meters he wants. He went out before the final. He flew home. For a 16-year-old, it was hardly a disaster, but Tokyo delivered a message. Raw speed and a devastating kick were not enough. The world stage demanded positioning, patience, and experience. Could a kid who had spent most of his life winning actually learn from losing? March 2026 answered it. While most of his classmates were home for spring break, Cooper was in Torun, Poland, lining up at the World Indoor Championships. This time, he handled the race. He won. 1:44.24, youngest individual world champion in track and field history. Not just the youngest 800-meter champion, the youngest individual champion the sport had ever seen. A kid whose mom was still reminding him about prom was suddenly a world champion. Now the pattern was hard to ignore. Every time Cooper stepped into a bigger room, another barrier disappeared. Then came Stockholm, his Diamond League debut, 3 days before Oslo. Cooper won in 1:42.70, becoming the youngest Diamond League winner since the series began in 2010. Another record, another reason to stop calling him a promising teenager and start calling him a problem. And waiting in Oslo was Emmanuel Wanyonyi, 21 years old, Kenyan, reigning Olympic champion, reigning world champion, the most dominant 800-meter runner on the planet. He had skipped Stockholm so he could arrive in Oslo fresh. He knew exactly what was coming. Before the race, he said, "Cooper is great. He looks really strong. He is definitely the future of this event, but we are still here to hold the fort. Think about that. The reigning Olympic champion was calling a 17-year-old the future of his own event before they had even raced each other. Wanyonyi already understood what everyone else was starting to see. Cooper was coming. The only question was whether the future had arrived too early. June 10, 2026, Bislett Games, Oslo. A legendary middle-distance track that had hosted 70 world records. The race went out hard. Wanyonyi took control, leading through the bell with experience and strength. Cooper sat behind him, waiting. Then they reached 200 meters to go. The trigger fired. Cooper surged past Wanyonyi, and suddenly there was daylight between them. Down the home straight, a 17-year-old was leading the Olympic champion, but Wanyonyi was not finished. He started coming back. Meter by meter, the gap disappeared. Cooper was still ahead, then barely ahead. Then almost level. The line arrived. They hit it together. Cooper leaned across the finish and dropped his head. Wanyonyi had closed so hard that Cooper thought the Olympic champion had caught him. He got up believing he had come up short. Then the scoreboard appeared. 1:42.08 for Cooper Lutkenhaus. 1:42.09 for Emmanuel Wanyonyi. 100th of a second, the smallest possible margin. A 17-year-old who still had homecoming and prom ahead of him had just beaten the reigning Olympic and world champion by less than the blink of an eye. 6 professional races, 6 wins, world indoor champion, youngest Diamond League winner ever. World leader that season, 3rd fastest American ever. At 16, he shattered the world record for his age. Then came the youngest individual world title, the youngest Diamond League win, and finally a victory over the man at the top of the event. Every time the competition got bigger, another assumption about what someone his age should be able to do disappeared. And Wanyonyi had already said it himself. He called Cooper the future, then the future beat him. After Oslo, Cooper was asked what came next. He did not talk about Olympic gold, chasing Wanyonyi again, or the world record. Instead, he said he still had not been to homecoming. His mom told him he needed to go to prom, so he probably had to figure that out. Then he gave the answer that should make every elite 800-meter runner uncomfortable. I do not know what is possible. That is a terrifying sentence when it comes from somebody who keeps moving through levels faster than anyone expected. It does not sound like fake humility. It sounds like somebody who has not found his limit yet. And sitting above all of this is one number, 1:40.91. David Rudisha's 800-meter world record from the London Olympics in 2012, 14 years, untouched. An entire generation of elite runners has lived underneath that number. Cooper Lutkenhaus is already at 1:42.08 at 17 years old. Now look 2 years ahead. Los Angeles 2028, home Olympics. Cooper will be 19, still early in his professional career. And if the jump from 16 to 17 tells us anything, nobody actually knows what Cooper Lutkenhaus at 19 is going to look like. Not Wanyonyi, not the rest of the 800-meter world, maybe not even Cooper himself. So here is the question. When Los Angeles arrives, are we watching a teenager trying to win his first Olympic gold, or are we watching the beginning of the greatest 800-meter career this sport has ever seen? Drop your prediction below. Because right now, the craziest thing about Cooper Lutkenhaus might not be what he has already done. It might be that nobody knows what comes next.